So much has happened the past 72 hours hitchhiking from Buenos Aires, traveling south, and I'm here to tell you all about it. This episode includes one of the best hospitality experiences I've ever had in Latin America, having to wait 6 hours by a city for a ride, and exploring a haunted, abandoned hotel in the middle of the night with strangers. It's been a crazy past few days, and I'm here to tell you all about it. But starting off in Buenos Aires, I wake up in some park. I've just recently bought a new backpack, and I've got to transfer all my things from the old one to the new one. And in this park, I let out all my clothes, and it's a bit of an emotional activity because I am saying farewell to a backpack that served me so well on trips. Maybe not recently. It's gotten old, it's broken, it needed replacing, and the night before I went to an outdoor store to get a new one. And as I'm taking the stuff out from my old backpack, I'm realizing, how on earth is this stuff going to fit in? The backpack before was much, much bigger. How is it going to fit into this new one? And I really begin to worry, like, will I have to get rid of some things I've taken on this whole trip? And I squeezed them into various compartments. First time, it doesn't work. I try again. This time, rearranging the clothes in a different way. And luckily for me, it does work. We have the backpack all sorted. Then, the next challenge is to find some Wi-Fi again. And I made plans with some locals I met the night before to visit the Falkland Islands Museum, Las Islas Malvinas. I managed to stay somewhere really close to it, and I'm really curious to check this museum out. So I invited some locals I met the night before. Hey, do you want to see this museum with me? And they said yes. It was this mother and daughter duo, and I was going to meet them at 11 o'clock to see the museum. Now, being a good punctual boy I am, I arrived 10 minutes early to the museum. I was too early, they wouldn't even let me in. So into the complex, the museum complex that is. And that differentiation will be very important in just a moment. I wait by the museum, 15 minutes gone past, they're not there. I'm like, okay, let's wait a little longer. 30 minutes, they're still not there. I'm thinking, okay, we said to wait by the museum. This is the only entrance to the museum. I could have checked some messages at that point. A little regret there, but I still decided to wait even longer. It was an hour, like, right, they've not arrived. What's happened? I checked my messages, and it's multiple texts and calls from them. Now, mind you, I didn't have internet on the go, so before I didn't have the internet. And now it's apparent that they did arrive, in fact, early. I'm thinking, how on earth is that possible? I was there early. I was at the entrance to the museum. There's only one door. How on earth could they have possibly been too early? Well, it turns out this museum is part of a museum complex. See, the area used to be part of a prison concentration camp when Argentina was a dictatorship, where they'd keep people hostage. I'm not too familiar with the history, but it's just one big museum complex to remember the lives of people. So they waited by the entrance to the museum complex. Now I waited by the entrance to the museum. I never got to see them. So they went back to their place, and I called them. I'm like, hey, I've been waiting. Like, where have you been? And they go, oh no, we've been waiting the whole time, but we're at the museum complex. So that gets ironed out. I go meet them, and then we go to explore the museum. Now, it's a pretty interesting museum, a very modern one, loads of stories. Stories by levels, but also stories about the history of the place. Honestly, a lot of it's factually informative and very interesting. There's a film about it. Of course, slightly biased against the British because, you know, we were the colonial power that, reaffirmed control of those islands. And Las Malvinas is a very sensitive topic here because lots of Argentinians identify with the islands, and they tragically lost a lot of young men to the war as a result of the actions of the dictatorship. A bit of a tragic history, but very interesting to learn about it. Now, after we go and explore the museum, they invite me for some lunch at their place. They said they don't live too far away, and we had lunch at their place. It was pretty nice, a whole selection of things. I'll share with you that at some point. It's been such a great story. But we have lunch and I'm a little bit tired because I didn't sleep so much the night before. So they invite me to sleep in one of their beds, have a bit of a siesta in the middle of the day. It was a late lunch, so yeah, I was well fed and pretty tired. And I rarely sleep in the middle of the day, but I ended up sleeping like 4 hours in the day, had a long siesta, and I knew then I wanted to do some work. But I also realised if I want to leave Buenos Aires, it'll be like 2.5 hours by bus. Now it was 7 o'clock by the time I woke up, and I thought to myself, okay, it's quite inconvenient leaving now. It's unlikely I get a ride going far. So I proposed that, as they've been so accommodating, I proposed that I spend the night there and then wake up the following morning to travel again. And they agreed. So I had dinner at theirs, got to know the family a bit more. Of course, Marta, the mother, spoke English pretty well. I got to know her a lot. She has an insatiable interest, passion for the UK and being British. It was almost fitting that we met. We had a lot of conversation about traveling, the UK, Argentina, a whole bunch of topics, and it was a great episode of hospitality. So much to say, but I want to keep this video short. So, but I was just incredibly grateful. They made me feel so welcome. Yeah, and then I woke up the following morning. Woke up quite early actually. Did a little bit of relaxing, some work, and then had some food, some more food, and I wanted to interview them as is per the ritual of me staying in people's places. I interview people the morning after, and but our children were quite tired. They were still in bed, so I figured I'd wait for that a little bit. I'd instead pick up my wet clothes, get prepared for the day, and I joined her to get some food from one of the shops nearby. And so I agreed, okay, as it's quite late now, I would stay for some lunch and then I'd leave straight after. Loads of pattern here. I meant to leave earlier, and then I was sucked into the beautiful hospitality and stayed a bit longer. But I love staying with them. It was great. We did the interview. I just remember trying so much nice food with them. They were in the process of moving, so they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't give you this and that." But it was just perfect. It was just being in their presence, getting to know them was such a great experience. And yeah, so I take a final shower for the road, and then off I go. They give me this really beautiful big Argentinian flag as a gift, and a necklace which I think I have in one of my pockets. I'll show you another time, but yeah, they gave me those gifts as a present, and off I went on my adventure. It was, I think, 4 o'clock at this point, so quite late in the day, but I figured out which bus to get with their help. I took 2 buses out of the city, and what I thought would take maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, these 2 buses and a little wait in between took 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours it took to leave the city. Buenos Aires is massive, but that is an astronomical amount of time for 2 buses. On the way, I got to know really cool guy who told me all about Patagonia and all the sights we saw along the way by bus. And on the second bus, I told him I told the bus driver I don't have a Suba card, the card you use to pay for transport here. And one of the locals heard that I was going to Cañuelas and wanted to help me out and bought a ticket for me, which was very kind. And so I got to know her friend, this guy, on the way. It was an uncomfortable bus driver apart from that, because I was just standing for most of the time. It was not comfortable in that way at all. But eventually I got to Cañuelas, this small town on the outskirts of Buenos Aires, and it was the open road awaited me, and I was to hitchhike as far south as I could this evening. Now, I finish off the evening in San Miguel del Monte. I get a ride with a taxi driver. He's going there. He goes to this place. Seems like a really interesting place on the map. There's a small lake there. It's a small town. I'm very curious to check it out. And I do. It's a lake with various campsites along the way. It's got a very, very small historic centre. I checked out some museums. One of the locals let me check out the 2 museums for free, which is very nice. And then it was a search for a place to camp. I was also looking for a place to use Wi-Fi to edit some videos for the morning after. But in the evening, I spoke to a restaurant. They gave me some free food. They gave me some empanadas, a Coke, and some fruit, which was delightful. And while being in that restaurant, I actually got to know a couple of people there. One of which, there was this girl who I saw on the way out looking for campsites. She was actually eating in the restaurant. You know who else was eating in the same restaurant? The guys who gave me a ride there. So it seemed like everyone in the town was eating in this one restaurant. The staff were very nice. They let me use the Wi-Fi there. But I couldn't really find a good place to camp. So I camped at the park by the lake. Very exposed, but it's what worked. Some, not police, but some people with some sort of authority woke me up in the morning. Asked if I'm okay. I said, yeah, until you woke me up. I was kind of told to not camp there. It was the morning. I couldn't really do anything about it. It's raining now. It's getting dark, so I'm going to keep this story even more brief. Then the following morning, I spend a really good chunk of the day editing videos, doing a bit of work, recording a video, and then it was the afternoon. I was hitchhiking further south, and I got a few rides from town to town, and I ended up at some gas station along the way. I was picked up by a truck driver who gave me some fruit salad on the way. Another truck driver gave me some sandwiches. It was I was content on the journey, that's for sure. I got picked up by multiple different people, and I was going to spend the night in a gas station on the way, a YPF. So there I got some food waste courtesy of the kind staff there, used up some remaining cash, and then eventually spent the night there outside the gas station. Then what followed was a morning walk to the peaje over here, a toll booth where people pay for the money for the motorway, for the highway, and I knew it would be a better spot for hitchhiking because the traffic there is much slower. I got a ride with just a car actually, just the next roundabout. Then I was at the roundabout by Olivaria. Now, this seemed like a pretty ordinary roundabout. Little did I know just how long I'd be spending there. What resulted was one of the longest waits for hitchhiking I've ever had in all of Latin America. I was waiting for a long time at the roundabout, and I'll reveal just how long in a bit. I saw this guy also hitchhiking. He arrived an hour after me, and he was there for an hour. He had no luck. I had no luck. I was there 2 hours. He decided to walk on. Then I was at the roundabout for 3 hours. Nobody would pick me up. There were various cars, various lorries going past. No one would stop. So, but someone did. But they picked me up and they weren't going so far, so I don't count it. But they were going to the other side of the town, Olivaria. Bear in mind, we're on the edge of the city, but just on the road. So he picks me up, takes me to the edge of the town. Still helps me a lot because that really isolates the local traffic. So he gave me a ride and drops me off. Then this local gives me an extremely short ride to a tree for shade. Very wonderful of him. And he also stops by again to give me some water with ice and a big water bottle. How lovely. Also, while there, I see another hitchhiker in the distance who's also hitchhiking. It turns out he gets a ride before me, I see him in the distance getting a car. What's that about? What's that all about? I spent much longer than him waiting for a ride, and he got a ride before me. Shocking. But also, I'm joined with yet another hitchhiker, a third hitchhiker, that's right. This policeman, this young guy in police uniform, he said he's going to the next pueblito, the next little town, for some police academy, station place, I'm not sure. But he seems very kind, very trustworthy, and very friendly. They're saying that he did have a gun on him, so can't be too careful. But no, it was really, really nice. We made some conversation. I explained I'm going to Patagonia, where I'm from, my travels, everything like that, my videos. And I thought to myself, I should get a better chance of finding a ride with a policeman. They tend to be trustworthy in Argentina, and if someone were to stop and see a policeman needing a ride, they'd probably do so and take me with them. So we eventually get a ride, but yeah, I waited for almost 6 hours. 6 hours by that town. We got a ride. In fact, the policeman was so courteous. He let me speak to the drivers first. I told them I'm going towards Bahia Blanca, and they told me where they're going, and I mentioned, hey, can I invite this policeman? He also needs a ride. They had space, and they said, yeah, of course. So I kind of ushered him to come here. There's space for both of us. Let's enjoy the ride together. So we both get in the car. I dumped my backpack at the back of the pickup truck thing, and away we go. And because I don't know so much Spanish, and he's also a hitchhiker, they're mostly talking with him, but they're also extremely curious about who I am, what I'm doing in Argentina, and I make basic conversation with them about my travels and my life and things like that. Such wonderful people. This couple picked me up with the policeman, and yeah, they mentioned that one of their children is also in the police force, and yeah, it was a nice ride. So they're only going to the next pueblito, but it's still 100 kilometers away. It's a good distance, much further. So I don't know what it is with my face. I'm a little bit tired right now. I spent all day looking at screens, but bear with me. So I get a ride with this guy. I'm by the roundabout. So I feel a bit odd right now. My eyes are vibrating. I think I'm extremely tired or just exhausted from editing videos and doing work all day. So bear with me while I tell this story. But they dropped me off at a roundabout, a mysterious roundabout in the middle of nowhere. And I walked to the other side of the roundabout. Meanwhile, sticking up my thumb, as you do, in case the car decides to stop. And the next car stops before I even make it to the other side of the roundabout. So I get an instant ride after waiting 6 hours for a ride. I get an instant ride from the next roundabout. He's going to Coronel Suarez, this town not directly en route, but it's further south. So I accept it and I go, hey, let's go all the way to Coronel Suarez. So we go there. He gives me 2 medialunas, very nice croissant looking things here in Argentina. And yeah, we go there. We get there rather. We listen to a bit of music. And then we arrive in Coronel Suarez. He drops me off right side of the town. And I noticed that there's a strudel fest by one of the towns there. So it turns out there's some German colonies in this area, and they have a strudel fest in the summer. But unfortunately, I'm not here to stick around to be there for it, unfortunately. But I found that very interesting. I love that in Argentina there's loads of interesting colonies, including Welsh colonies, but also a lot of Italian and Spanish migration. Anyway, that said, I waited for a ride by another roundabout. It's a day of waiting for rides and roundabouts here in Argentina. I get a ride to the next town called Pigüe. Apparently it's a French colony, hence the weird name. And yeah, I get a ride with someone. He's going there. He think he works in the church. We talk about Christianity, faith, and yeah, it's a short ride to the next town. It's a very beautiful place. When I arrive, it's this plaza's got so many trees in. It makes me think of like a forest. There's an interesting European church thing, and yeah, seems like the people there in this town were very friendly. I was making videos and they wanted to say hi, they wanted to talk to me. Very friendly people. But now I had a decision to make. I saw on my maps a really interesting place called Lago Epecuén. Now my online maps don't have, now my offline maps don't all, but I had a decision. So I was in this town and I had a decision to make. Do I go straight to Bahia Blanca or do I explore an interesting place on my map? And that interesting place was Lago Epecuén. On my offline maps, it doesn't have all the information in the world, but I saw a lake, I saw loads and loads of ruins. I thought, that must be an interesting place. I did a little bit of research. It turns out there's a ghost town in Argentina. It's a really fascinating town that was submerged by this salty lake and then re-emerged in 2009. And it's a completely deserted ghost town. Of course it is, it's a ghost town, but it used to be this spa resort place. I looked at images, it looks fascinating, but I'm not an urban explorer. I don't love abandoned towns, and to travel so far just to see it, and for it to be so late as well, I decided against it, and I decided I'd go straight in the direction of Bahia Blanca. So, with that fascinating insight into local history aside, I walked through the town, went past this really cool looking park, and headed for the on-ramp, and waited there until my next ride, my next chariot awaited. And that came in the form of this really wonderful couple that I would end up getting to know quite a bit at the end of that day. So as per the usual routine, I was getting deep in conversation with them. As soon as I embarked in their car, we were getting to know each other a bunch with my limited Spanish. And yeah, they had such great energy about them. I could already tell they were pretty nice people. And asked them, of course, where they're going. And I didn't recognize the place at first, but then a light bulb struck in my mind. I was like, okay, I think I've seen this place before on my maps. Now, usually on my travels, I scour the maps, see if there's remotely interesting places I can stop along the way. I try to explore places along the way if I can. And it's getting dark, so I should wrap up the story. But this chapter is something else, I'm telling you. Anyway, they told me they're going to a place called Torqués. I'm like, okay, that rings a bell. I check on my map, and it's this, I think it's a national park. This beautiful natural area, which seemed a fascinating place to be in, just from looking at the map. And I was struggling to understand them, but what I learned was they were going there to go on a night walk, exploring an abandoned hotel. And it was a combination of a history walk, but also checking out some paranormal activity. And that got me very curious. I was like, okay. I was like, you know what? If you're going to this place called Villa Ventana, I should probably explore it as well. So I said, hey, like, can you take me there with you? And they obliged. So we went there together. We went to the national park place, where I am now actually. And yeah, it was the night. And so we went straight to the Club de Hotel, the abandoned hotel in Villa Ventana. We arrived, people were waiting there, and they invited me to join them. So I didn't have to pay anything, they paid for me, and I joined them on this abandoned hotel night walk with, yeah, it was a really cool experience. I don't think I would ever have done an experience like it, or found one like it. But I joined them with a big group of people. Of course, it was all in Spanish. Didn't understand so much of the history, but they told them all about the history. And along the way, they told jokes, references to spooky things. We walked around. It's a very beautiful complex. Yeah, a little bit haunted looking, but very fascinating to walk around. Walking around, loads of people taking photos and videos. I learned I need to practice more in night photography. And then afterwards, we had some nibbles in a table. And at the beginning, the couple gave me a ride there. They're asking where people are from, and then they shut up and said, "Hey, England." So everyone looked at me, and then they told them that I was making videos of my journey. I'm documenting the travels, hitchhiking all the way to Patagonia. And people were like so fascinated, impressed. There was a group kind of chorus of "ooh." So after the tour, I took a photo with my friends, and people approached me and asked me what my YouTube channel is, and wanted to get to know a little bit more about me. And it was nice getting into small talk with strangers here on this event. I had not eaten anything that whole day. I was incredibly hungry, so I dived into the cheese and salami and breadboard. After everyone else, I was a polite Brit about it. I wasn't a greedy buffet muncher like I normally am. And lots of wonderful people, really nice atmosphere. Everyone was curious to get to know me. It was so nice to just really be immersed, getting to know people. Made some new friends there, one of which actually hosted me. This guy who was a photographer at the event, he runs the social media and tourism of this area. He is the kingpin of it all. He was taking photos, videos of the events, and immediately he said to me, "Hey, come to my house." It's like, what? Usually takes me a bit more work than this. Who are you? But he's such a wonderful guy. Diego is his name. Okay, a side note, when I mentioned couple, I don't mean romantic couple. They were siblings. It was Martin and Valeria, in case you're curious of their names. So when I said couple, I meant couple, not romantic couple, okay? Anyway, back to the story. So after the event, Martin, Valeria, Diego and I went to a restaurant to eat out. We had pizzas, empanadas. They were mostly talking in Spanish, talking with each other, because they realized just how much of a struggle it was talking with me, getting me to understand. But Martin and Valeria were just such nice people, and they gave me a ride there. They invited me to this event. I was accompanying them for the whole event. They just decided as family to go together to this thing, and such a nice event. And so Martin paid for the food, which is very kind. I didn't have to pay anything, and I went back to Diego's place. He's got like a separate studio at his house. By this point it was 1:30, so I was really, really tired. And to wrap up that day, I just slept straight away. But I knew I had to wake up early, or early-ish, because I had an interview the following morning. In fact, an interview with a major British newspaper. And I'll explain all in the next episode. I've tried explaining the story as best I can. It was such a beautiful, eventful, chaotic story. I'm trying to document what I can. I'm so grateful for Martin and Valeria for taking me here, as well as everyone who's given me a ride. Every single person has helped make this experience such a beautiful adventure, and I'm so grateful. And of course to Diego and his family for hosting me, giving me a bit of coffee, breakfast in the morning, and I'll reveal in the next episode, but we went on a little bit of a wander in the local area. There's so much to say, there's so much I want to say, but if I shared the story as well as I'd like, this video will be over an hour long. So it's dark now, the story's over. It's been such an incredible past few days. I've now caught up on the storytelling aspect of it. Final thoughts. I'm extremely excited to make more distance traveling south. We are heading to Bahia Blanca tomorrow, one way or another, unless I decide to live here permanently. It's a beautiful place there. We've got a river, loads of mountains in the background, loads of restaurants, loads of people enjoying the outdoors. I really like the vibe of this place. Loads of interesting buildings. I could just go on, so I'm gonna end the video there. That's been it. I'm yeah, I'm grateful for the adventures. I'm trying to make the best of this messy, mistake-heavy storytelling videos that I'm doing, but I hope you'll stick with me through it and come in on this adventure. So I didn't plan to spend another night here, but it's now the evening, as you can see. I'll probably spend the night here. I'm gonna edit this one up and look forward to what tomorrow brings. It's now raining. I'm by a river. It's dark. Let's make another friend today. Oh, yeah, I'll explain. Not much happened today, but I'll explain what happened the following day. Yeah, see you in the next video of this video journal series. I've not been consistent with anything else but the videos. We're trying, we're working through it. That's it, it's now raining heavy. Keep hitchhiking, and thank you for watching these. That's all I have to say. Bye.